analytics to drive contacts and conversions. All lines will be placed on mute to prevent any background noise. Thank you. Tom Miller, you can begin your webinar.
Good afternoon. My name is Tom Miller, and I'm the VP of Analytics at Noble Systems and the former CEO of ALI Solutions, which was a company acquired by Noble back in 2012. And as one of the original founders of that business back in the early 90s, I worked for 17 years in a variety of roles and worked closely with and consulted for dozens of customers on the topic of analytics. Today's webinar, titled Using Analytics to Drive Customer Contacts and Conversions, focuses on developing strategies and using analytics to improve the performance of your contact center, collections, or inside sales organization. Quick administrative note that Darshey just mentioned before I get into this. Again, all lines have been muted for this call. So when I get to the end, I'll have time to go through a few of the questions that have been submitted, and I'll cover those at the end. So today's presentation is, as I mentioned, designed for inside sales, collections, and call center organizations across a variety of industries, and really should be applicable whether you have 5 or 500 reps or agents in your business. I'll start with a brief overview of how analytics typically fits into the inside sales or contact center environment, and then I'll discuss what I define as the top 10 essentials for you to consider in defining and executing an appropriate analytics strategy for your company. And along the way, I'll try to share examples of how leading companies and our customers are operationalizing data and analytics and information-based decisioning to help create competitive advantages and achieve their strategic objectives. And then at the end, I'll conclude with by answering a few of the questions that have been submitted. So I think it's hard to open the business section of any newspaper these days without finding some reference to big data. Companies collecting, aggregating, leveraging vast amounts of individual or consumer information within their business. And often that big data discussion will then reference analytics or even artificial intelligence, trying to understand the buying preferences to sell more product or better place ads or proactively reach out to a potential buyer or an angry customer. So there's so many different uses and applications of analytics that sometimes it becomes confusing to think about how analytics would apply within your specific operation. So this slide is just attempting to illustrate how analytics solutions are most often applied in our customer's contact center or inside sales organization. Typically, data analytics and decisioning are leveraging input from a variety of common sources or systems of record where we store or gather information about customers or prospects. These inputs come from your CRM system, maybe Salesforce.com application, may come through your website or in through your call center, or if you're in collections, potentially your daily download file. And the data and analytics systems are then providing all the data aggregation, the filtering, segmentation, and action assignment to determine how, when, and where to contact customers and prospects, and then deliver that record to the appropriate channel. I also thought it would be helpful to differentiate the two major types of analytics as applied in either a contact center or sales operation that's proactively contacting customers and prospects. So the first category is what we refer to as data analytics or predictive modeling. With data analytics, we're typically aggregating data about an individual at a point in time to create essentially a profile of that individual at a time you're ready to make a decision or to take an action. Then algorithms are developed to correlate or link aspects of that profile to a particular outcome, some behavior or outcome, like answering the phone or buying a product. These are predictive analytics in that they're predicting an outcome. Predictive analytics are always forward-looking. They're always estimating or predicting something that is yet to happen. And then the second category is data mining, which would include both speech analytics and reporting. This is more traditional business intelligence, where you're collecting, monitoring, and evaluating large volumes of information, including large amounts of phone calls or customer calls. So with data mining or speech analytics, you're looking at historic information to identify trends or specific instances of an attribute, or perhaps the presence or absence of a phrase in a call, and then make decisions about what to do based on those trends. Data mining is then different than predictive analytics because you're always looking backwards at trends or occurrences in the past. So with that said, now let me walk through what I'm describing here as the top 10 analytic essentials for you to consider in either the development or the execution of an analytic strategy for your business. For this presentation, I'll touch on each one of these 10 essentials, and each will provide some opportunity to create competitive differentiation for your business. But I do want to note that I would not really expect any one company to be an expert on all 10. I mean, hopefully, regardless of your industry, your scale, or even the level of sophistication, there will be some practical takeaways that will help you either better plan or leverage analytics today. And as I mentioned, I'll highlight specific customer examples as I move along. I'll start with how you measure success within your business. Often that may have two types of metrics used to track and measure success. Operational metrics are linked to specific business processes, tracked, measured, and used to improve performance. I think good examples in the contact center may be metrics such as calls per agent, contacts per call, or perhaps leads per contact. These tend to have fairly immediate feedback results, and many times determine not only performance of the operation, but personal compensation. Business metrics, on the other hand, are higher level, and they define the way in which your business makes money and drives profit. So these are the ultimate goals of your company, metrics such as sales, revenue, and operating profit. And while this may seem obvious, it's essential that these metrics are aligned, operational and business. And as you create strategies and policies, it's very important that you clearly define each metric and ensure you have alignment. It's very common for us to engage on analytic projects and first find that the operational metrics that are being measured are not fully aligned to the ultimate business metric. And it's very difficult to set effective policy or get broad company buy-in when the business metrics are not aligned. Information-based decision-making is the foundation of any analytic strategy. In some ways, this may seem very basic, but it's really important. Well, I'm sure that every company on this call is executing information-based decisions. The way in which companies approach and embrace information-based decisioning can definitely create competitive advantages. What I find is that those companies that are analytically focused, this concept of information-based decision-making becomes cultural. They strive to be more information-driven in virtually everything that they're doing. So the better job your operation can do in capturing, storing, and then leveraging data in your decision process for policies and strategies, the more you know about your customer and can take advantage of that information to differentiate service and approach. And then in turn, the more productive you'll be and the better chance you will have at both improving the customer experience and remaining compliant. Information-based targeting enables you to contact your customer with the right channel at the right time, more quickly, and with less operational cost and risk. And in the age of big data and in a market that's so competitive today in securing and retaining profitable customers, there's no substitute for knowing your customer. And in order to be an information-based business, you need to constantly strive to bring more and new data into your decision-making process. Constantly looking to incorporate more information about your prospects and your customers so that you're gaining a better understanding of who they are, what they like, what they do, how they will respond, etc. This includes aggregating information from your various internal systems, such as your CRM system, customer billing system, transaction files. It includes retaining information from systems that generate data from customer interactions. Customer service systems from your website, your automated dialer and IVR, I think, are all good examples of that. And it means continually evaluating publicly available third-party information. And there's plenty of great external information available. Demographic data and credit bureau data are most common. But today we see clients capturing more information on assets, wealth, DDA, payroll, income, etc. And essentially, what these companies are doing is building a more complete personal financial statement, including personal balance sheet, income statement, and even cash flow on these consumers. And today there's more information available. It's faster and cheaper to store data, and it's cheaper to process data in today's computing environment. Top organizations today are constantly looking to incorporate new data in their business process and to expand the amount of information available to filter, segment, and prioritize their prospects and customers. And I think GoDaddy is a great example. So GoDaddy is leveraging data to better understand its customers and generate additional revenue using that knowledge. As most of you may know, GoDaddy is the world's largest domain registrar. But in addition to registering new domain names, GoDaddy also provides a variety of additional solutions for new businesses. So every time that a new domain is registered, GoDaddy takes the opportunity to proactively contact those new customers and learn a bit about their business or website so that they can properly promote and offer additional services and solutions to that customer, such as website development, hosting, creative, etc. And because they're gathering, storing, and aggregating information, they're very effective in driving additional revenue per customer and doing it in a very efficient manner from an operating perspective. With more information and a better understanding of your prospects and customers, you're now in a position to leverage that knowledge along with your business intuition and experience to define the differences and similarities in your prospect or customer base. So you can now start to define unique populations that have similar characteristics. Those customers or prospects that will respond or behave in a similar way. And the ability to segment in this way is critical in order to differentiate service and differentiate offers. and to customize strategies and policies that will more effectively generate revenue. You can target actions to specific groups or prospects, create unique calling strategies, email or text campaigns for different groups. You can apply unique phone strategies, call targeting strategies, and even leverage unique response models or credit models for those different groups. One of the main challenges of differentiating service is managing conflicting priorities. While it may be fairly straightforward to group common prospects and determine the right offer strategy, inevitably you're going to run into some form of conflicting priority. For example, you may invest more resources to contact likely buyers than you would those less likely to purchase. But what if you want to prioritize those most likely to buy as well as those that are credit eligible for financing? Many times the people most likely to respond or buy are not those with the best credit. Therefore, those two priorities are going to conflict with each other. And what most companies will do is apply some form of matrix management to deal with those conflicts. In this example, a very aggressive campaign is created for the very best prospects, those credit eligible and likely to buy. A very low effort, low cost campaign is then used for those unlikely to buy and ineligible for credit. And the two groups in the middle, some mid-level and same or similar campaign is used. And this is a very common and very effective way to operate, but it's not ideal because decisions are being made at the group and not at the individual level. So for example, if credit eligibility is defined by a credit bureau score cutoff of, let's say, 700, you have some people that have a 700 or maybe a 701 that are in the eligible group and are receiving that aggressive offer, while others maybe have a score of 699 and are ineligible. We're classified in the ineligible group. But if you think about it, the 701 or 700s are not all that different than the 699s in terms of risk. But because you're making decisions at a group level, they're then going to receive different offers or have different opportunities. So ideally, you're making decisions and managing those conflicting priorities at the individual level rather than at a group level. Here's an example of optimizing at the individual level to create an outbound calling schedule. In this example, you want to call 3 records, and you have enough resources to call 1 record in each of the 3 time periods per day. The value of each record represents, let's say, the sale value, or if it's in collections, maybe it's the balance of the account. And within each cell, you have a % probability that you can actually contact the prospect, 15%, 10%. And that probability is going to be different not only for the different prospects, but it's going to be different throughout the day. And so in this example, the conflicting priority is that you want to focus on high probability of contact, but you also want to focus on high value. So you can compute a value at the individual level within each of these cells by combining those 2 priorities. By multiplying the probability of contact times the value of the sale, you're able to compute the value of making each call in each time period. From there, you can either call the prospect with the highest value in each time period, or you can solve for the best overall combination for the entire day, taking into account the fact that some people will answer the phone any time of the day, or they have relatively similar contact chances any day, any time, while others you really only have one specific time to get them on the phone. Again, this is a good example of optimizing it to a decision at the individual versus the group level. eHealth is a customer that applies this exact call scheduling strategy in production today. And they do it through a product called Calltech. eHealth is a leading online marketplace to purchase health insurance. So obviously it's a very timely and important business to be in these days. For them, it's critical that they can contact and connect with eligible Medicare prospects during the open enrollment window. eHealth leverages our analytics solutions to take advantage of all their prior calling history and other prospect information to make accurate assessments of when individuals will answer the phone throughout the day. They then use those contactability estimates to create an optimal outbound calling schedule, just as I showed on the prior slide, at the individual level to optimize the greatest number of contacts each day. And the results speak for themselves, as they've been able to increase contacts by almost 50% with the use of analytics. And it's also important to note that implementing this type of solution is not a major IT undertaking. In eHealth's case, they were in production with this solution in less than 60 days. Another essential element to any analytic strategy is speed. eHealth is certainly an example of getting a new analytics solution into production quickly, but speed matters on so many dimensions. So when you're planning or deploying your analytic strategies, you need to look for every opportunity to reduce cycle time. Drive for faster updates in the information you're using, faster conversion from leads to contacts, making contact with customers in less time because you are using information to better target an attempt, making adjustments to strategies to improve results more quickly, making sure that you're leveraging flexible automated technology for all your data and analytic solutions. I think Career Education is a great example of focusing on speed. In their case, it's speed to lead. So Career Ed provides secondary education for largely to source new students via their website. That's the primary channel. But they operate in a very competitive market. And so as soon as a prospective student hits the website for information, it's imperative that they can proactively reach back with requested information and have an enrollment counselor available to speak and answer questions as quickly as possible. So Career Ed has implemented our OnCue system for flexible analytic decisioning to aggregate data and execute very timely proactive outreach. As a result of this information-driven real-time approach, they've been able to reallocate headcount and significantly reduce or significantly increase revenue. Now, I talked earlier about gathering data. And often a lot of the focus on data tends to be on data that helps to profile or understand the characteristics of a customer or prospect. So data about that prospect or that customer so that you can determine the best strategy or policy. A source of data often forgotten is performance data, and it's critical. Performance data is about the outcome, not about the customer. Performance data represents the results of any of your strategies or policies. It represents what actually happened. Leading companies are very good at making sure that they capture and store as much performance data as they can, because that's the information that can be reviewed to evaluate what strategies are working, and it can be fed back into your original analytics or presented to executive management via reporting to refresh your knowledge and improve your performance in the future. Testing is really an important part of any analytic strategy. Actually, one of the big benefits of being information-driven and leveraging analytic solutions is you have the ability to quantify the results and improvements you put into place. Many of our customers will implement champion-challenger tests to evaluate competing strategies or policies. Champion-challenger testing is performed by assigning a random digit to every prospect or customer, and then using that random digit to create random groups of prospects or customers. And once you tag those into a particular strategy, you can then apply different strategies and track and report on the performance of each strategy. Typically, the champion strategy is representing your current policies, and then the challenger strategies are created by varying one element of your policy in an effort to improve results. And while it's great to craft a new strategy that is better than what you have today, it's important to note that not every challenger or competing strategy will always beat the champion. But that's okay, because that's an important learning, and now you can move on and try to improve on something else. Best practice among our customers is to constantly have a competing challenger strategy. Maybe 10 or 20% of the overall population is put into a strategy that challenges the current business practice. And so they're looking for continual improvement over time. And while you may have all the best strategies, policies, and analytics in place, none of that matters if you can't implement it into production, which means it's imperative that you have the right investments in technology and applications that provide you with a high level of business automation and flexibility. Real-time, event-based decision-making that has the flexibility to fuse and aggregate all kinds of data that you know about today and data that you may not even know about but want to incorporate somewhere down the road. The ability to apply whatever relevant analytics, whether that's predicting revenue or predicting credit risk or predicting contactability, and then the ability to have high flexibility to put policies and strategies in place on the right actions to take. The emphasis today is shifting toward business ownership and away from IT as it relates to changes for compliance, policy, and customer strategy. Configurability over custom coding is also very important. And leading companies today are leveraging technology and analytics to drive information-based decisions on policy and strategy, which in turn free supervisor time for people-related tasks like coaching and managing. So in summary, and as I mentioned earlier, I hope that a few of the concepts that I've presented today can be helpful to your organization as you think through the application of analytics in deploying new analytic solutions. Having worked with dozens of companies over the years, I think one of the important common denominators of success is really just keeping it simple. The most common mistake I've seen is trying to do too much too quickly. Jumping to something that's complicated, something that's both hard to understand and manage. Remember, analytic solutions can be very sophisticated without being complex. So keep it simple. Make sure that you can very clearly explain all your analytic solutions and strategies to senior management and even external stakeholders, such as regulators. Find ways to evolve your strategies and analytic models over time. An evolutionary approach is always going to achieve better organizational buy-in, which usually means it also has a better chance of being successful. And again, I'll go back to a statement I made at the beginning of the presentation. Not even our most advanced analytic customers would say they are experts in all 10 of these areas. So they may be experts in a few and pretty good at others, but not all 10 all the time. So focusing on improving your analytic strategy in a few key areas and then building on that foundation is also a good formula for success. With that said, that concludes today's presentation. At this time, I have a few questions that have been submitted, and so I will respond to those questions now. And so let me move on to that. So the first question is, what is a typical pricing structure for analytics or analytic solutions? So for us, pricing for analytics vary. Solutions are available both for on-premise deployment and in our cloud. The cloud-based solutions are typically priced based on the number of records processed and priced out on a monthly fee. On-premise solutions are typically based on the number of concurrent agent seats or records processed. And so for specific pricing, I'd be happy to discuss more specifics after this webinar for anyone interested. I've got a couple emails, info@ email listed on this Q&A screen. I'll also share my personal email is tmiller@noblesystems.com, and so you could ask more specific questions, or I'd be happy to discuss that. And then the next question was, somebody wanted to know more about Vinceo. Obviously, I didn't specifically cover Vinceo today. Vinceo is Noble's, it's a software application. It's Noble's real-time analytic processing engine. And it's the technology that's used to deliver a number of these customer solutions or examples that I covered today. So I think a little bit like the pricing question, I'd be more than happy to discuss Vinceo in further detail. And you can contact me directly at tmiller@noblesystems.com if you'd like more information. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone on the call today for their time. And again, any follow-up questions, please reach out to us at the info@ or directly to my email. Thank you very much.